What's up, team? In this video we're going to get through all the punchless shit on the FRS. Mostly just little shit, adding sensors, adding a bung for the wideband, and doing the exhaust wrapped, all the shit that no one really wants to do. It's to the point on this one where it's like all that little piddly shit that you really just don't want to fucking work on. You dread coming out here and getting to it, but it's got to get done. So I got all this welded. So yeah, I want to hammer out the wrap on this and then get it installed, throw that bung in the exhaust, and do a final bolt up on most of the shit, and then we'll get to the oil feed, which will come out of, I think, this guy right here. Yeah, right under the filter, obviously. That guy. And then we're going to drop the pan, check the pickup, make sure there's not a bunch of shit in the pickup, and then we'll run that drain line and see what fittings we need, etc., etc., get shit kind of wrapped up. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're at on this deal. Hopefully hammer this out and get it done, and then we will keep on moving. Hopefully get back to my car. That would be sweet. So alright guys, so I got like a dedicated set of gloves here. This is what happens if you do exhaust wrap. You don't want to obviously get the fucking fiberglass all over your hands and stuff like that, because you will have the skin herpes for a while. So I usually just do like a wrap around the whole thing loose, and then I'll go back through and tighten all of it up. I think last time how I did it on mine was I did a wrap and then I zip tied it, and that way it would kind of help me tighten it up as I go around. This one I'm probably going to use a lot of wrap, especially in here, because that's where the battery and that harness is. So yeah, all we can do is give her our best shot. I'm not very good at this shit, I'm gonna tell you right now. So some people do a really nice job and they spray it with water as they go and all that critical shit, but I just want to fucking hammer it out and get it on there. So I'll do I kind of got the drill in a terrible spot, which I have a feeling is going to be directing me in the way. So I will kind of do some of it on camera, and then I'm going to just turn the camera off and hammer the rest out. So yeah, I'll get through putting a loose wrap on it, and then I'll be able to go back through and kind of tighten it up. And then these bends aren't going to help my case either. Bends just make it harder to keep it tight and in the spot you want it. So yeah, this is not going to be easy, but I will try to keep you guys on this here. And yeah, like I said, just be careful where you do it, because shit starts flying and it does get everywhere. I'm going to be able to blow all this off, but you can already see all the fiberglass hairs getting all stuck on my gloves and shit. So yeah, it's kind of the gist of it. It's just trying to get it tight the first time around is probably the toughest part. I mean, if you guys got a better way to do this, you can hit me up and let me know. But I really truly believe in wrapping the shit, because it does help engine bay temps a lot. I work on steam piping all the time, daily, you know, so insulation is huge when it comes to keeping the heat in the pipe. So I'm a firm believer. I wasn't for many years, but after working on the shit all the time, it does make a big difference. And if you take your time and do a good job wrapping it, it actually does come out pretty nice. I mean, some people say it lowers the lifespan of the stainless, but it's hard for me to believe. I mean, I don't, if it's even decent stainless, it's really pretty heavy duty shit. So water don't bother it. It might turn colors and kind of, I don't know, maybe it decreases the lifespan a little bit. But I would have to see it to believe it, or So you see how it's twisting like that? Let's get that untwisted and then keep going here. I'm gonna start kind of doing like only go like halfway on the previous. Try to tighten it up. And the other thing too is like you can always kind of make the next loop closer, make it thicker. And like I said, when I go back through, it's probably all going to loosen up and we'll kind of start over. But I just found that this way kind of gets you set up to do it, to tighten it up. Because if you try to tighten it up the first time around, it's hard to keep wrapping the material and the roll around and keep it tight at the same time. So that's why I kind of do like a loose run and then go back through and tighten it up. But like I said, that's just how I do it. I'm sure people probably got a way better way of doing it. But so yeah, I will get through this and then I'll time lapse the rest of the shit, and then we'll probably start on getting it bolted on the car and then hammer the wide band, bung out so we're completely done with welding. I'm gonna probably put a tag on it and then let's get it bolted up. I gotta run to the store, grab RTV, and keep moving. So on this side, you guys see me go through and kind of do it loosely, and then I came back through. I probably learned this the hard way a couple times already, but when you wrap these, I usually use as like a merge pipe or the wastegate pipe, etc., as like a checkpoint. Because usually I double wrap, so I'll wrap it around this side, I'll wrap it around this side, and then I'll wrap it back towards the way I came, and then come around again. That kind of fills in that triangle here where you can't get it on the first wrap around. So, but obviously when I went through, I had to stop here and take all that off and then continue, because once you get through there with it loose, it kind of gets like knotted, right? Because as you go, you're pulling some of that slack, so then all the wraps back and forth here get kind of knotted and it fucks it up. So you got to kind of reverse and then restart here. So obviously next time I'll have to freaking remember. I've done it. I've literally done this a few times where I forget that it's easier just to stop here with the loose and then just pick back up as you come through and tighten it. So yeah, I typically obviously do. These kits come with 4, 5, 6 of these. This is an Amazon kit. They're pretty nice, pretty decent steel. What the hell, zip ties? Can't think. But anyways, yeah, I'll put one here. I'll put one in the middle. I'll put one here. Obviously, your middle and ends you want to get done. And then whatever you have left, I'll probably put like one here on the bend by the wastegate merge pipe. And then I'll probably put one here in the middle. Just because those areas are kind of, well, obviously the whole thing is going to expand and contract, but it's a little bit harder. There's slack under this outside roll, this outside wrap. There's slack under there, and that kind of sometimes loosens up and gets a little finicky. But yeah, I kept it probably like 75%. So like 25% wrap over until, you know, once I came up like by the firewall here where it comes up, and the wiring harness is like here, battery, etc., etc. So then I started doing more like 50%. These are double wrapped here. So, you know, I mean, then I'm only going half of the distance, and then I put another wrap on it. So hopefully that will keep shit clear, and then I will run and grab some RTV, and we will get this deal bolted on and keep moving. Guys, I'm going to switch this spring out here quick, and then we can dive into putting the wideband bung in. So yeah, I'll hammer this out and then punch a hole and we'll see what we got. Here's our little wideband bung. I'm going to shorten these ears with a grinder, so you guys can see, but kind of has it's shaped for more of like a 2-inch pipe instead of a 3-inch pipe, so shorten those ears up and then get it put on there, stuck on. Alright guys, I'm just gonna probably run this over back by the car, and then I'll just kind of make a mark roughly where I want it, and then we'll hammer it through with the step bit and get her burned on, and then we'll probably get this back on the car, and then work on our feed and drains for the oil. In the meantime, I'm waiting on fittings. We're gonna drain the oil and then see if we can't get this pan off with the header on. Yeah, we will check the pickup and then get ready to weld a bung on this deal for the drain, which there's not a lot of spots for a drain on here, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, not a lot of spots at all. Alright. What's up guys, so this is what we got for the drain on the oil pan. Just going to cut our threads off this 1/2-inch nipple here. Here's our just normal carbon steel -10 bung there, whatever you want to call it, bulkhead, whatever technically. Another thing I've learned about these smaller engines, smaller turbo setups, is there's like nowhere to put the fucking drain for the oil pan, so it's kind of a pain in the ass, but yeah, I haven't 100% decided. I think I'm gonna try to send the nipple out the front there, kind of in between those two bolt holes, so like where my finger is. It might kind of be on this ripple here, but I want it to be above the header, and then unfortunately, I'd like to put it on the same side as the turbo, but there's literally nowhere to put the hose. The way they have that unequal header looped around right here, there's nowhere to get the hose in here. So, or the drain hose. So, we're kind of either forced to put it off the front and then run the hose down through here, because it has to have a pitch on it. It has to. It's gravity fed. So, And then obviously with these oil pans, there's nothing to them, so we want to keep that drain up as high as possible. I know the oil level sits pretty high in the pan, so ideally, logically thinking from the front, if we put the fitting in the front, I'm hoping when you get on the gas, it actually brings the oil obviously to the back of the pan, so I'm hoping that'll kind of, I don't know, I guess not increase flow, but alleviate some of that back pressure that's going to be on the fitting, where the oil actually goes into the pan. It'll just go straight out into the back of the pan. So in that case, I also wanted to show you guys, I don't know what I have going on up here. So, okay, before I was trying to use a traditional style drain kind of flange, where the bulkhead was actually like molded into the flange itself. This one I got off Amazon also. This one fits these smaller frames, so the bolt holes are a lot closer together, and then that entail makes you able to put a threaded fitting in there. Before, obviously, the dash fitting, the hex part of the fitting would go over the bolt, so it was almost impossible to use. So yeah, that little guy I got off Amazon, and then obviously, well, actually both of them I got off Amazon. This one too. I think we're gonna switch this to a straight fitting, which I'm gonna have to wait in the mail again, which sucks, but it's like probably a couple days or something. But I want to run a straight fitting, and then like I said, it'll be somewhere, it'll kind of go straight down here, and then we'll run that hose straight down next to this, and then across the front, and then into the drain down there. So I think that'll be, I don't know, I've freaking stared at this thing for way too long and tried to figure out the easiest way to do it, and there's just no easy way with kind of where we have the turbo and how tight things are under it, right? I mean, you can't really go around the back, can't really go around the side because the exhaust, I mean, you guys can't really see that, but the exhaust is literally directly in the way, and it's just crazy how short that oil pan is and how much that header takes up, because the header actually takes up the same depth of the oil pan, so there's really no elevation for that hose to get in there, on this side at least. I know a lot of people, when they run the turbo up front, they run it off the other side of the pan, which makes it a little easier. I think typically they put it like here, and then they run it kind of out in this little area here. So yeah, I think we're gonna try it on the front. I might put a bolt in there and then run the header up all the way flat again and see how that nipple fits in there. See if I can get it to go kind of above this little offset right here. It's like straight in here is what I'm picturing. I could put it on this side, but then I gotta wrap that fucking hose all the way down and then somehow around and then into it, which, I mean, the shorter the hose the better, so I'm hoping I can make it work on the front, but let's see what we can do here. Alright guys, so I'll probably just snip the threads off both sides really quick, and then we'll tack this on here. I kind of got the header back up where it needs to go, and then I think I'm going to throw one bolt in the pan like I was saying, and we'll kind of hold it up there and see what it looks like off the front. So. Here's our little pecker extender, guys. Just kind of show you what I got going on here. I kind of got a bit of a miter to fit the oil pan on the front, and then we're gonna kind of do it like that, and then just angle it up. My bad, the light's kind of in the middle, but I marked it out with a marker just by holding it up and marking it. And then I'll probably, I wish it was a little longer. I could put just a 90 on it. I might still try to put just a 90 on it and then zip tie the hose to the So yeah, I'll kind of just go in just like that. But in between the bolt holes there, yeah, let's pull the pan back off and we'll punch a hole and get this thing kind of fit in there. Here's our little hole. I'm gonna have to submerge this thing, get it cleaned out real good, but kind of put a miter cut on that, and then this will slide in here like that. I might leave the top long. It really doesn't matter if it's long or not, as long as it's welded. I'm gonna weld it on the outside and the inside. I might not be able to get to the top on the outside. But I mean, it'll be done real nice on the inside, so it doesn't really matter. And then obviously, I don't know if you guys can tell, but the way I'll tack it is up at an angle. You know, it doesn't have to be like that, but I mean, it's got to have a little bit of a pitch to it, which we'll get that, and then. I did take a little bit out of this top flange here. I might even take a little more, but it's kind of what we got right there. We'll get this deal tacked in here. Alright guys, I got it bolted back on. I just kind of put a fitting on there because I seen how close it was to the case there, but seems to fit alright. Hard to see, but it's kind of what we got going on there. I'll pull it back out and weld it. I did have to loosen this flange to get it back in just because that thing is pretty long. So yeah, we'll pull it back out and get it welded. So here we are, got it all welded out there. There's the inside, the outside. Got it fitting. So yeah, I'm gonna throw a coat of paint on it, and it ended up just like perfectly. It isn't touching the flange, but almost. I will get this cleaned up, get it painted, and then we'll throw it back on and hopefully run the plumbing on this deal and hopefully start this pig up and get it off the rack and get my car on the rack. So we were able to put a straight 1/2 inch to -10 adapter in there, in that flange there. You guys can see I just threw a 45 on here to get it to go under. There's our little drain fitting down there. Just threw a 90 on it. We'll pop this back off. This one might leak. I found it in my box of fittings, but we'll see if it, hopefully it doesn't. But anyways, yeah, we'll pull that off, throw it on, make our cut here once we get the turbo on, and then put that one on, and then we're pretty much good to go. Otherwise, I fucked up, and apparently for these fittings here, I had no idea that there was such a thing. There's actually a British pipe thread taper. So it's actually like almost a completely different size from the normal like American MPT. So I have one of those fittings coming in the mail. We just gotta make our cut here. I'm gonna hold this like this. I'm gonna put some tape on there just to get a clean cut. And then we'll pop that fitting off, make our cut, and get her ran on there. Alright guys, I just slid this on here. As you can see, obviously always make sure your hose is up to the threads. It's probably hard for you guys, but you guys can see the hose is real close to the threads there. Just push it on until it goes. For those of you that haven't done a lot of these. And then I usually just try to spin it on. It gets pretty hard and then it'll tighten up, and then you just run it till the fitting touches the nut and it'll draw that hose right in there. So yeah, I will get through this and we'll keep moving. That turned out and I got it running right under that stuff, all the way up there, and back into here. So that's kind of how that turned out. We got the blow-off valve on. Everything's pretty much tightened up. Got our vacuum lines ran for now. Seemed to be a little short, but it's just what I had left for vacuum hose. And then we are just waiting on, which should be here later today, the fitting for this, and that'll go into our oil pressure sensor port. I don't know if I show you guys, I don't know where it went, but yeah, so I just got to throw that fitting in, which I'll catch you guys in just a minute to do that. Everything else is pretty much done. Everything's gooped up. Put the tag on, turned out pretty nice. Aside, we'll hammer out cutting through the hood, and then we have glow shift gauges. I have a boost gauge here, and we have a wideband gauge also. That should be here today. So, couple of gauges. We gotta cut the hood up and get that fitting in, and we'll do a startup here pretty shortly. We're gonna pull this thing off the lift and then get my car over here. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this thing to be done. It'll be pretty sick. Hopefully cutting the hood goes well, and yeah, we will keep rolling with this rig. Alright guys, there it all is. There's our little supply fitting there. You can see it, that's a British pipe thread on the male going into the case, whatever you want to call it, diamond cover. We're going to start this deal up. This is an oil temp, it got ripped off. Little mistake happened there. Not from me, of course. But yeah, we're going to get this thing started up. Let's do it. There it was, a little startup video for you. Sounds kind of like a WRX or something like that, STI, whatever. We'll see how it runs. I'll get on that little open flash, I think it's called, tablet, and see what we can do with that. I've decided to try to keep it on 93. We'll see what happens. If it starts knocking or something, we'll switch fuel, but hopefully that'll be alright. The other thing, well, initially when we first tried to start it up, we had trouble keeping it running. And I remembered immediately that this little control module here, this was bolted on. You guys can kind of see, or I mean on your vehicle, whatever, but this has like a steel back to it, right? A lot of times on these control modules, body control, TCM, or transmission control, these modules are actually grounded through that like metal piece here. So we just kind of ran a temporary, I put a ring terminal on there and then grounded it to there. I'll probably just run it to the battery, but just for now I wanted to get it started running. Runs actually really well on the stock tune right now. We didn't drive it, but like idling, I mean 14, you know, it's got good AFR idle, and it should, which it should. I mean, all of it. I put the same size pipe for the mass airflow. It's the same injectors, etc., etc. So yeah, we did the old switcheroo. We threw my car over on the rack. I got a little bit to clean up. Hopefully we can get that rear end in and pull the transmission. We also have a couple glow shift gauges. Here's the boost one, I think. Yeah, yep. Boost gauge, and then I have an AFR gauge coming. So yeah, hopefully on this next video I'll kind of show you guys how we typically cut the hoods and then get those gauges installed and just do some routine maintenance. I gotta throw a new oil filter on it, but we'll get it all wrapped up and then we'll start hammering on my car. Trax opens in 2 weeks, so I'm hoping to get my rear end done and the transmission done like fast, but we'll see. It's a tall order, it's a lot of work, but nothing we can't handle. So yeah, I will get this video up for you guys first start, and then we'll hop back on my car. So I'm pretty excited. I really just want to get it done like ASAP, because I want to get it out and start testing it. So deuces, peace. I appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. A little bit on this and mostly on the Mustang. So cool.